Hello and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I really do hope that you decide to subscribe and also turn on your notification bell. And if you're a current subscriber, please just make sure that your bell is on, as YouTube doesn't like suggesting true crime content. So today's video is another true crime video. I am sorry that I have been away lately and my schedule has been crazy. Honestly, the last 6 months of my life have been both the worst 6 months of my life and the best 6 months of my life. Things have just been crazy. I might talk about it, I might do an Instagram live about it, I'm not sure. I might let you know some of the stuff what's been going on soon when I'm ready to talk about it, but I have had so much going on. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Today we are talking about the unsolved murder of Karina Holmer. Karina Holmer was originally from Sweden. She was a really good child and she was intelligent. From being very small and right into her teenage years, Karina had a really big passion for animals and travelling. And as she got older, these passions just grew and grew. She had always wanted to travel, but given the fact that she's from a small town and she didn't really have the means to travel anywhere, this always stopped her. But that was all to change when she was in her late teens. She entered a lottery and she won. She won a cash prize of $1,500. She instantly knew what she wanted to do with the money, and that was, of course, travel. And the one place she wanted to use this money to travel to was America. Before making her trip to the USA, she contacted local babysitter agencies that had placements in the USA. That way she could work and earn some money and have some fun at the same time. She gained a placement with the Rapp family in Dover, Massachusetts. When she arrived in Dover, she started caring for the Rapp family's children, as she would care for these children all week, and then she would have the weekend to herself so she could go out with her friends or go out sightseeing. The father of the family, Frank Rapp, had an apartment nearby that he would use for his photography work, and he let Karina stay here on the weekends. And Karina was really lucky to get that, because this meant she had no expenses to pay out. She always had somewhere to stay, and it just allowed her to have her own space on the weekends. The apartment was in a perfect location. She was close enough to friends so she could go out with friends. There was things for her to do. She was able to go to restaurants and clubs and socialise. So it was really nice for Karina. On the 21st of June 1996, Karina was planning to go out that evening with some friends for some drinks. Now, it's believed that Karina was 19 at this time. Now, we're not 100% sure. Different sources say different things, and I think translations have been a little bit lost when people have interviewed her family members. But as far as I'm aware, she was 19 at the time that this happened. So that did make her underage. So she was going out underage and drinking in bars and clubs. But she didn't let that stop her. She had a fake ID that she used to get into these bars and clubs. And to be honest, nobody ever pulled her up on it. Nobody attempted to take the ID from her. She just never got caught. Her and a few of her friends met at the apartment that Karina stayed in on the weekends. They just chilled out together, they had some pre-drinks and they got ready for the night out. Once they were ready, they made their way to the theatre district. This area was busy and rowdy, just like any other Friday night. They attended a club called Zanzibar. Now, you may have heard of this club, and that is because it is extremely popular, or it was back at this time. Everybody who used to go out in that area, the one place they wanted to go was Zanzibar. Karina and her friends drank right into the early hours, and to be quite honest, each one of them was getting really drunk, just like any group of friends on a night out. Later in the early morning, For some reason the friends group got split up and Karina couldn't find her friends. She was in the same club and she looked everywhere for her friends but she couldn't find them. And then reportedly at around 3 AM, Karina was found passed out in the bathrooms of the club Zanzibar, so security decided to kick her out as she was too drunk. It was later claimed that somebody had seen Karina after she was kicked out of this club, and they claimed to see her making her way to a well-known area called the Alley. Apparently Karina was still in the party mood after getting kicked out, and apparently she was seen dancing with a homeless man, but this has never been confirmed as to whether it's her or not. On the 23rd of December, just 2 days after last being seen at the club, a homeless man was rummaging through the rubbish behind the Zanzibar club, and he was rummaging through all the bags in the dumpsters when he came across something very, very horrifying. It was there that he came across a dismembered female body. The homeless man was absolutely shocked and he was just beside himself when he found this, what he believed to be a body. So he made his way to a local police station to report what he had found. Police immediately made their way to the location and immediately started their investigations. Police only managed to find the woman's torso and the rest of the body was missing. They searched the area around the crime scene, but the rest of the body was not found. Police were able to confirm that the body did belong to Karina Holmes. When researching this case, I could not find any information to suggest that she had been officially reported as missing. I don't know if police were actively searching for Karina, but all I know is that it didn't take long for them to confirm that it was her. Police had noticed that the torso was in pristine condition. The body had been cut so well, and police believed that this person could possibly be an expert as it was done so well. The torso was clean and there was no dirt or mud on it. The makeup that she had on the Friday night had been scrubbed away. There was no bruises, there was no scratches, there was not a single mark on her body, and police believe that she did not try to fight her killer back. The only marks that she had were on her wrists, and police say this is because she was possibly tied up. Her official cause of death was strangulation, as she had a couple of marks on her neck which led police to believe that the killer had used some sort of item to strangle her. There was really no information for police to go off. They had no leads, there wasn't any DNA evidence, so police were really struggling to find out what happened to Karina. They did receive a few sightings of Karina, but most of them haven't been able to be confirmed. During the last 23 years, police have had many suspects and they have ruled them all out. Police have not had evidence to tie anybody to this case. The only evidence that they found at the scene was half a fingerprint that was on the bag that her body was in, but they've never been able to match this to anybody. I am going to go over some of the suspects in this case, and I would like to know your opinions on these suspects down below, but please remember when you are commenting, they are innocent men. Just because there was a suspect in this case don't necessarily mean they have committed this crime, so please just be respectful wherever you can. The first suspect was Herb Whitten. This is mainly because somebody saw Herb talking to Karina on that night. This person knew that the man was Herb, as Herb would always dress up in a Spider-Man costume in hopes to impress women. It was something he did with his dog to try and impress people. When police had spoken to him, he did tell police that he was speaking to Karina that night, but he was not responsible for her death or her murder. He had an alibi. He drove home after speaking to Karina, and this alibi was backed up because he got caught speeding and got a ticket. So police knew the time that he was in this place. And they said that it would just be a bit silly for Herb to drive our way home and then drive all the way back to get Karina. It just doesn't seem like the timeline would fit, so he was ruled out. The next suspects in this case were her employers, Frank Rapp and his wife Susan Nitcher. The couple spent a lot of time with the teenager, so it wasn't a surprise when police decided to look into them as suspects. Other people who had worked for Frank described Frank as being creepy. Neither of the couple had an alibi for where they were that night, and a couple of days after Karina's murder, police was actually called to their property as they had set some dumpsters in the back garden on fire. Police tested the ashes for human remains, but they didn't find anything. Due to having no evidence that supported the theory of the couple murdering Karina, they were also ruled out. The last known suspect in this case is John Zewiz. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. If I am pronouncing it wrong, I am sorry. John was a musician and he was part of a group called Sleep Chamber. Their songs were very controversial, and the lyrics contained some questionable things about bondage and SMN. This alongside the fact that he lived near her, and at the time he was going through quite a bad heroin addiction, police decided to look into him. But yet again, police looked into it and there was no evidence to suggest that he had any sort of involvement, so he was ruled out. Until this day, this case has been unsolved. Her family hasn't had justice for over 23 years. Police have worked very hard to try and figure out who her killer is. But given the fact that the body was so clean, the crime scene was so clean, and that there's no DNA, this has been very tough for police. The officer that dealt with this case says that he drives past where Karina's body was found every single day, and he thinks about her and remembers her and wonders what happened to her every single day. I do hope that someday her family get the justice that they deserve and they can finally rest with knowing what happened to their daughter, to their sister, to their relative. They just deserve to know the answers. So that is all for today's true crime video. I am sorry that I sound and look like I do. I am poorly. I have literally been coughing all the way through this video. It's not great, but I needed to get a video up for you because I've really missed you guys. You guys are my support. You make my world turn. You just make me feel so much better, so I am so grateful for every single one of you. If you're not already, please make sure that you go and follow my Instagram and my Twitter. I am always active on my socials and I love messaging you guys and getting your case suggestions and just talking about day-to-day life. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a massive thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and I shall see you in my next true crime video. Bye.